Okay, I'm going to call this meeting to order, January 15th, for the Select Board. Additions to the posted agenda. Phil
Yeah,
has
when you did your budget work, Robbie explained about the need for a new recorder. So I'd like to take that up. He's got some prices. And you can take it now or later.
Now.
Okay, take one and pass these down, please, John. Take one and pass it down. So it's a different company than we're using now. The net impact is it's a little less money than the company we use now. And he's proposing that we buy a piece of equipment that has room to add more phones in the future. So,
Sorry.
you're talking about building expansion, even if you were to add a phone in the training room or add a phone in the bays, you'd want it to be recorded. You don't want any unrecorded lines. So he's proposing $11,302.56, which is less than the $12,000 or so we were talking about a few weeks ago.
Okay.
So is this in our current budget?
The money is in the capital reserve for dispatch equipment, although it's not in the budget. So the budget might show 0, and spending out of the bank would show the 12,000. It's not coming out of taxpayers.
Do you plan for him to buy it this year?
This year?
Which year is he gonna buy it? Yeah.
I think he wanted it now, but if you want to tell him to order it, take delivery after July 1st, we can. If there's an issue with that, I'll bring it back to you next month.
I'm sorry, I'm having difficulty hearing.
All right, let me move down.
We can turn her up if you need.
I guess that's what the board would like to do, we can do that.
Why would we wait?
Yeah. Why would we wait?
Because it's not in the budget per se, although the money is in the bank.
Right. I don't see any reason to wait. This equipment could, what we got now could fail between now and July 1st, and then we'd be in a world of hurt.
It's actually likely.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, actually likely, so.
So it's capital budget money that we have saved
So I'd
over the
say-
years.
Yes, so it will not affect the tax rate. You've already recognized the need.
Yeah.
Motion.
Waiting.
Oh. Do you have any other questions, Jill?
No.
I move we approve the expenditure of $11,302.56 for recorder for emergency services as submitted in this proposal dated January 2nd, 2019. Is there any, Phil, is there, let's see, which is the company current over $12,000, the annual maintenance? Will we be buying the
And
maintenance
you have
package?
money in the budget, in capital reserve, that will cover this expense.
Okay.
So sorry for the confusion.
Motion's been made. And
But in the motion, it was January the 22nd. We haven't got that yet, so. I don't-
January 2nd.
It was,
Okay.
The proposal was
Dated.
submitted on Robbie's letter here, it's January 2, 2019.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'd like to second the motion, this is Jill.
Motion's been made and seconded by Mary. Motion's been made by Mary and seconded by Jill. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Say aye, my name.
Jill says aye. Yes, say
Sonia says aye.
Sonia says aye.
Mary says aye.
Mary says aye. John says aye. Aye. Butch says aye.
Jill says aye.
Jill says
Great.
aye. Motion carried.
Thanks, everybody.
All right. Anything else to be added to the posted agenda? If not, we'll move on to the report from the Economic Development Commission.
you should have all received a copy of my notes. Just letting you know what's going on. And last month, this past beginning of January, the only item that needs action from the select board is approval of a grant for a community visioning project, and that's $25,000 was approved. There's been a committee that has been working on that, and they sent out RFPs, received 5 proposals, and selected community workshop Rebecca Sanborn Stone, who's located up in Bethel. She's done a lot of different communities. I actually have her proposal if anybody wants to look at it. I have it here, but just didn't bring it up. So I'm asking that you approve an allocation of $25,000 to community workshop to complete the community visioning project.
Have you established a time for it, or?
In her proposal, there is a time frame for it, yes. And we're actually, she was a little flexible because the visioning committee will sit down with her and actually put together a exact timeline.
And
But
where will this take place?
It will take place in the community at some point, and we have yet to determine exactly
Where?
what the process will be even and how it's actually going to be completed. She wants to get community involved, and the next step for us will be to get other community members to be on the steering committee for the visioning project, so we can start working with community workshop to get this done.
I have one more question. Is this similar to the VCRD that we did in 2005, I think?
Yes, very similar.
Good. Thank you.
So I've waffled on this, as you know. I've talked to you about it a couple times. I was, I've been aware of the conversation since its inception, and I've actually attended a presentation by Rebecca, and she's very dynamic. I like her very much. She's great. Have no complaints about her. My reservations, which don't necessarily impact my approval or disapproval, but my reservations are that we keep spending money on studies rather than tangible things. And one of my fears is that this pulls people who might otherwise just directly get involved with government, gets them pulled into something, that's like parallel play. It's like.
Yeah.
But if the EDC members are all in favor, I hope maybe one of the outcomes can be that they will discover that one of the problems this town has is not enough people being involved in the government and thinking of ways to solve that problem. So that would be one of my interests, and of course I can participate. So.
And exactly, one of the goals of the project is to engage more community members. So the idea is that if we have this community conversation and we're talking about different topics that will be coming up in the community, that we may get some new people involved.
Yeah.
That is one of the goals that's high on the project list. And the other thing I was thinking about is all the studies.
Yeah.
Well, I'm also thinking that when the EDC started, they did a bunch of marketing and we started getting more people, the numbers are going up kind of thing. I think the same thing with the studies, that we're doing these studies as preliminaries to, okay, what's the next step? Now we have some hard data that we can work with. Where are we going to go from here? And so I think I'm feeling really good about these.
Okay.
So hopefully we're done with the studies and we can go on to getting things done.
Yeah. Okay.
That's all I have.
Well, from the VCRD, the 4 places where suggestions were made, the Energy Committee is still ongoing. We have definitely improved the east end of the village. We've established an economic development committee. A lot of what they suggested that day has gone forward.
Yep.
I'll entertain a motion.
Yeah. I guess I'll make that motion. Yes. I'll make the motion to approve the expenditure of $25,000 from Economic Development Commission funds for the community visioning project to take place this year.
Yes.
And I'll be an optimist and second it.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion?
Jill has not weighed in at all.
All those in favor of the motion? Say aye.
Mary
Jill
says,
aye.
Jill says aye.
Mary says aye.
Mary says aye.
Sonia says aye.
Sonia says aye. John?
Aye.
John says aye and Butch says aye. Motion's carried.
So I don't know if there's any other questions about anything else. We do have the housing study is done. We're hoping to put together a public presentation of that. If you haven't had a chance to take a look at it, there's a lot of good data. But as I mentioned in my notes, it's really interesting to look at the comments that people made, because there were a lot of comments about housing all over the place. So it'll be good to sit down and, I haven't really analyzed what they all mean yet. But
How are you going to share that with us?
we're hoping to have a public meeting with the consultant who did the report, and whether we do it at a planning commission meeting or maybe before a select board meeting, we'll try to get that done in the next month or two.
Cool.
Okay,
That's pretty much it for now,
all right.
unless you have other
Did
questions.
you,
I did have a question. There had been some talk about presenting your portion of our budget differently,
Oh,
and I don't know if that's something that interests you.
I have, yes, I would
The
love to
time is
just,
very soon.
yes, I would love to take a look at it. I'm glad to
Okay.
help. I have not seen it yet, so.
Okay, so we can.
I've given Phil some of what we've been working with. and-
Okay, so we'll show that to you, and, because you may want to
Yeah, glad to.
clean it up.
Yeah, it will not affect
No,
the
it doesn't affect
taxpayers,
that number.
so
It doesn't affect the
That's how we
number.
tell the story.
Right, that's exactly.
And that's
good.
how
We
it's
like to tell
presented
the
in the town report.
Good. And you will, we have, one of the chairs is writing the report for the town report, so you'll get that tomorrow, hopefully.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sally.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, next on the agenda is the review the change process procedures for boards, commissions, and committees. We all received the outline in our packet.
So can I talk to this?
You may.
Please.
I'm waiting.
Okay, so Kerry, Cole and I have been working on this. We presented this at the last meeting. Ray suggested that we added some terms and eligibility criteria. We have been able to find out some of them, and I don't know whether your copy shows it, but we've managed to get information to the Conservation Committee, the EDC, the Investment Committee, the Planning Commission, and all the design review boards. So what we'd like to propose is that we adopt these and start using them and keep adding and improving to them.
So have the current chair people of these boards been made aware of this initiative?
No, we haven't done anything yet.
Okay.
But,
'Cause some of it
we
falls
think
on
that if
them.
the trust- I'm sorry, I missed that.
Sorry, some of this falls on them in terms
Yes,
of keeping
but we'd like-
attendance.
What we'd like to do is for the trustees and the select boards to approve the idea, the content, and then we'll start working with the chairs to get these implemented.
What do you need from us to do that?
I guess you could,
Proposal to approve it? Motion to approve it?
I don't know.
Do you agree with it all?
I mean, I agree with it in concept. I think it's going to take a little reiteration to work out.
I'd like to hear from the, people on these boards, at least the chair of
The
these
chairs of
boards, to see if they have any further input or, on this. So I think it's a good start, but.
So what do you, what kind of input do you in mind? I mean, are we saying that this is how we'd like things to, can we at least get as far as saying this is how we'd like things to go?
Oh, yeah, I mean,
So that we
sure.
can-
But I'd like to know more from these board members about their impression of whether this will affect, whether people sign up to be on boards, whether it's going to be difficult to handle conversations about kicking someone off who hasn't been in attendance. about, you know, how do you accomplish some of these, a little more of the, how they think the nitty-gritty will play out, and whether they're willing to do these things, whether they have buy-in, because if they don't buy in, then
That's right.
our asking them to do it is one thing, but getting people to actually do it is another.
Right, but what I'd like to establish at this meeting is that these are the principles that we'd like to work to, and then we'll work with people to see if we can try and get the buy-in and see how we can implement it.
So I don't think we need a motion to do that. I think that your committee can continue to work on this without a motion. Now, we are certainly saying we're supportive of
Okay,
it.
so
Yeah.
We need for
So
this.
I'm going to use the sentence then that the select board and trustees will stand behind these principles and would like to see them implemented.
Yeah,
Yes.
I think that's fair enough.
Comfortable with that?
That's great. I am comfortable with that. But I do think it's important for the boards to be aware and at least have a look at this, the chairs of the boards, have a look at this before we just say this is what we've accepted, adopted, this is how it's going to be. We've always invited the dialogue, and I think it's very important to continue that option.
No, it's the difference between telling somebody what to do and asking, you know, their input and working with them. So,
Maybe we'll use the word considering.
sure.
So would you get your word so that Beth can make sure she gets it the way you'd like it? So could you repeat your words the way you'd like to, what you just said?
Okay, so the trustees and select board. are
We can't
considering-
speak for the trustees, so it would have to be the select board. They'll have to,
Okay, so the trustees have already agreed to these.
well,
So the select board is considering adopting these ideas for how all of the commissions, committees, and boards follow the processes. Sorry, that's not very good. The select board is considering adopting these processes and procedures for all the public boards, commissions, and committees in the town of Woodstock.
have the trust, what did the trustees adopt?
Yes. They didn't have the eligibility in terms.
Okay.
Exactly those.
All right, so we won't speak for them.
So it's
Okay.
a work in progress.
All right, work in progress, all right,
Continue to be a work of art.
okay. If Beth has any questions, she'll contact you.
Okay.
Okay?
All
Good,
right.
Beth? Thank you, Jill.
So the next on the next on the agenda is the under new business. Is there any other old business?
No.
Okay, and under new business is the fire truck loan,
Yeah.
Phil?
So you have in your packet a loan for your new fire truck that's on order. It's a much better rate than the lease. Lease is approximately 5%, this is approximately 3%. Sonia was questioning the amount at $300,000. So the way it works out is there's $70,000 in the current year's budget that would be applied towards this. We're not going to take delivery until after July 1st. This is 5 years, and it gets done in 2024.
So that 370 will be enough.
Yes.
Okay, that's what he meant by my question. It was it enough to pay for a fire truck? So, the answer is yes.
Well, it's because we had 100,000, so it's a 470,000 piece.
So we're going to put down 170,000. Yeah, got it. Great.
Okay, so this is a substantial savings to us, and
About 6,000 a year.
so I think on behalf of the board, I'd like to recognize that Phil did a good job
Thank you.
in chasing this down to make sure we saved a considerable amount of money over the purchase of this fire truck.
So that's
So it reduces our payment.
yes. That's what, so, and we're allowed to do this because it's less, it's 5 years or less.
5 years or less.
Yeah, which is when we can take loans, so.
And it reduces our payment from,
About 72 to about 65 or
Yeah.
change.
Okay,
so that's going to help us with
65,
our...
so I think I got 66 in the budget.
65, 788,
okay.
approximately.
So, thank you, Phil.
Yeah, happy to do it.
You need a motion.
Yes,
To accept this.
because
Move to accept the proposal from Mascoma Bank for lending to the town for $300,000 for our fire engine at a rate of 3.15% fixed interest for 5 years.
And I will second that.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 John says aye.
Jill says aye.
Jill says aye.
Sonia says aye.
Sonia says aye.
Mary says
Mary
aye.
says aye, and Butch says aye. The highway mileage. Explain that, Phil.
Yes. Oh, sure. That is how you get your state aid for your highways. That tells the state what we spend on our roads, how much local tax dollars we spend on our roads, how many miles we take care of. And we prove to them that we spend enough money on our roads that we qualify for state aid. If you only spent your state aid, you wouldn't get so much. They'd cut it. This is the max we can get because we do a good job on our roads.
It's just information only, right?
We have to sign it.
Sign
We
it
have to approve it.
It gets sent in annually.
where it says copy. Okay,
Okay.
so. Motion needed.
Okay, I move to approve the certificate of highway mileage for the state of Vermont. Now, Phil, I do have one question.
Uh-huh.
We only do it for the town now, or do we do the village streets
The
as well?
village is still an entity, so the village trustees will continue to do theirs.
Okay, so there will be class 1 road money that,
You're eligible
Okay.
for more grant money that way,
All
for
right.
one thing. For another, so essentially, to the state of Vermont, you're a contractor for road maintenance.
Okay. Then my motion stands to approve.
I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
John says
Jill
aye.
says aye.
Jill says aye.
Sonia says aye.
Sonia said aye.
Mary says
Mary
aye.
says aye. Butch says aye. Okay. Review the draft for the proposed public health and safety ordinance for the town and the village. So I would, okay.
This is something you were working on with Carrie, Jill?
Yes.
And
Yeah.
this is,
So I
yeah, go
I
ahead.
can tell you a little bit about it.
Yep.
So the select board and trustees wanted to look at whether we could have an ordinance for vacant and abandoned structures or even property. And we looked at what other towns had in place, and we've been in touch with the Vermont League of Cities and Towns, and they have a model ordinance. So the one that you're probably looking at is, well, we took the St. Albans one and looked through it to see how it could work for Woodstock. And since then, we've looked at the model of the Vermont League of Cities and Towns to see how the St. Albans one varies from theirs. And the biggest difference is that St. Albans has done dangerous building and property ordinance, and the BLCT one just does a dangerous building.
What would a dangerous property be? I mean, how can this,
It's a you can start talking about fencing. That seems to be the different one, but I think we need to talk to the Vermont League of Cities and Towns about that
okay.
to find out. So this is just a working copy. We need to do more work on it. and we'll do that with the Vermont League of Cities and Towns. We wanted you to read it and see what sort of things people, St. Albans put in theirs, and we could put in ours.
So this is a work in progress. You're not expecting any adoption of this evening or approval from us?
So it's
Go ahead, Jill.
Go to Sally.
It's just for information at this stage, and if anybody wants to add something in for us to add to the conversations with Vermont League of Cities and Towns.
We have a question from the floor, Sally Miller.
Hi, Jill, I'm just wondering, did you give this to the planning commission? We have not seen it at the planning commission level, and this is, while it's not, it will be a town ordinance, it's very similar to what we write as zoning regulations. And I just think that, the planning commission may have some good insights on it as well, so we would love to take a look at it.
Did you hear that, all of that?
Yes, that would be great, Sally. I'll send you the link, and you can send me any comments. Thank you.
So, do we have to have a public hearing on
Eventually.
eventually?
Actually, as a point of law, no.
Really?
You may, the way it works is you adopt any ordinance that, with the statutory authority, and if people don't like it, then they petition for a vote.
Oh, like,
The community can vote up or down.
like the dog ordinance that we did. Right, okay.
So that's, everybody does have
Chance to
recourse,
complain, yep.
but you don't, at that meeting, it's yes or no. There's no, well, I don't like line 17.
Okay,
It's up or down.
okay.
So the time to, involve people like the planning commission is now.
Well, I like the initiative though, because we've got a very prominent derelict building, so.
Yes, somewhere over there.
Hi, can you describe what this is and what you're targeting?
I think I'm free to say that a lot of people are concerned about the building on Pleasant Street, the abandoned building on Pleasant Street. Central Street, I'm sorry, Central Street. And, they're concerned about that, and we really don't have any recourse to make sure that a fallen down building or an abandoned building is free of fire or vandalism or vagrants or whatever, so.
And so this lays out, requirements for the upkeep of that building. And then if the owner does not upkeep the building, they can accrue fines. And then if the fines accrue to the point where there's a lien on that, property that affects the tax collection and so forth. So it gives the town some power, some recourse for removing the property if necessary. I mean, we've had a lot of trouble with that property. It's been close to being foreclosed, and then people swoop in and pay the taxes, but obviously you see the state of the building. So this gives us a little power.
Will that also address sort of the commercial ones too?
It will address everything in the town.
Well, there's,
So-
if a building is empty because there's no tenant, it has to be,
But yes, there are some other
Some-
things even for occupied buildings that if there are safety concerns, it will address those things.
but we have to be careful that we don't adopt something that's going to get us into a lengthy legal battle later on because, from my experience, it's very difficult to get a bank or somebody who has a lien on the building to do anything. They just call the lawyers, So I think it's a good start. So we'll work on it.
What are you expecting for a time on this, Jill? Because there's one part of it that I'm concerned about, but I don't need to take time tonight if we're going to have open discussion and opportunities to address specific concerns. It's nothing that we have.
So I think we're going to talk to VLCT. We're going to give them this draft fairly soon, but they are not sure about what they can commit to because they have so much work leading up to town meeting day. So I don't know how quickly they'll respond, but it's active, Mary, so
It's
if you have
active,
comments,
and there will be,
share.
my concern is enforcement, and I'll talk to you and the other boards and the board members about that at another meeting, since this isn't ready for adoption and doesn't sound like anything's going to happen until at least March. So I'll wait until
Try it in
we
May.
have an open forum and talk about it then. Thank you.
Yeah. All right,
It would
thanks.
be nice to, okay, that is one of the, I will say that is one of the big questions to us, is who would do the enforcement of this?
Great.
The VLCT suggests in a very vague way that it's a building safety officer, somebody has that title, and then we have to decide who we would like to have that title and who would do the enforcement. So
Okay.
they identify the tasks of this officer. So that's what would be worth reading first.
Great.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Well, I'm good for
Right.
tonight.
So, overweight truck permits. Overweight truck permits.
Overweight truck permit, yes, I studied it, looks okay, and I recommend we approve it.
Motion's been made to approve the overweight truck permits.
I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Mary says aye.
Jill says aye.
Jill says aye. John said aye.
Sonia says aye.
Sonia says aye, and Butch says aye. Okay. Now we have some liquor licenses.
Everybody's paid up.
Everybody's paid up and kosher and good to go? Okay.
These liquor licenses are for, you have them, you have the copies, Jill?
Yes, she does.
I've looked at this, yes.
Okay.
Can we approve them as a group?
Do whatever you want.
Yes, sure.
None of them is new. They're all-
None of them are new.
Right.
Right.
I'll make a motion to approve the liquor licenses before
Yeah.
us.
You got paid for all this?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
John says aye.
Sonia says aye.
Sonia says aye. Butch says aye.
Mary says aye.
Mary says
Jill
aye.
says-
Jill says aye.
And Jill says aye.
Jill says aye. All right. What's up for the Board of Sewer Commissioners? Anything?
Quiet.
Quiet. Sewer's working fine, huh?
Yes. And everything's quiet when the sewer works.
Yep. All right, moving right along then. Citizens' comments.
Oh, my goodness.
I'll make one comment, just for the board to know that we've done the tallies for the Welcome Center for 2018, and 46,000 people visited the Welcome Center to get information and/or use the facilities, which is up from 39,000 the year before.
Wow, okay.
Huge.
So it's not just in our imagination.
No, town has been very busy.
Could you repeat those numbers, please? I didn't hear them.
46,000 up from 39.
Yes.
Wow.
Now, if they could just pay a quarter every time they use that. No, just kidding. Dollar, okay, sorry.
Dollar.
There you go, 1950s prices.
Have you given the taken numbers like a deli yet?
Only, only Columbus Day weekend.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Exactly.
Yes.
Well, actually, the water guy came in.
It just goes into the river.
The water guy came in one day and said, "Is there a leak?" And it was in October, and I said, "No, we've just been busy."
Next.
I'm wearing yet a different hat, and actually, it's not really mine, so I was asked by Ann McSood,
Thank you.
who has been working with 350.org to get a climate solutions resolution on our town meeting warrant. She had talked with, I want to say Jay.
Charlie.
With Charlie. And Charlie told her she had until January 29th or 28th or something, and then she went in today and he said 28th again, and then changed it to this Thursday. So she is not able to get her 150 signatures between now and Thursday. So I'm just wondering if there's any way we can get this resolution into the town warning, if you guys can okay it or not.
Yeah, she would need 5% in order to get something on the warrant, or on the warning.
Yeah, because she was
needs
away.
5%
so she
of the
didn't-
populace.
And then she's at a meeting tonight, so I'm doing this in her stead.
Why is, I mean, we don't know why is it so early? Why is that deadline so early?
Charlie said it was January 17th, so,
I thought it was,
but by state statute.
Yeah, no, I believe him. I
But
believe him.
originally, he had said that later in the month was fine.
Right, because the
That's not
petitions.
completely accurate. It's a different deadline
I
than
got
you
you.
have
I
for
got it.
your work.
Right,
Right.
exactly,
Right,
to get your
right.
petitions in to be
Right,
right,
on the
right.
ballot.
Right,
that is the
right.
28th.
Exactly. So I don't know what this means, if we can get this in somehow with you guys just putting it on, or if you would allow her to get her signatures later. I don't know what you have for a suggestion.
I know
This is
that-
just a resolution to get, a climate solutions to say that we're going to try to be aware of what is happening in our
can't
community.
that
So
come
it's
up
a-
in other business out from the floor at town meeting?
If it comes up in other business, we can't really take a binding vote.
But are
It's
we-
You
non-binding.
can talk about it.
But it's
But
not
that isn't all
a,
they're asking is.
right, this is not a,
Binding
this is
resolution.
not a financial request.
This is not a financial
This
request here.
is
This is
this is
a
like.
resolution,
right.
just, a sense of the
So
community.
I mean, one way or the other, but I think it could come up on the floor as a resolution.
But can we get it into the town, can we get it into the warning,
It
I
could come
guess?
up as other business.
Can't we, if she
The
could
select
have...
board is pretty strict about requiring people to get signed petitions
Right, but,
to
We
put it
let
on the
you guys
warning.
do it, then we gotta let somebody else next year.
They've got the authority to put anything on the warning that the board wants to put.
right.
And I mean, if there's a way she can just bring it up at the meeting, I
Yeah.
think that would probably be the way we would go.
As long as it's just a resolution, I would think she could, go ahead, Jill.
Jill probably knows more about that.
I'm sorry, when there's lots of people talking, it's hard to hear.
Yeah.
Does everybody know what the resolution is?
We have a copy here, Jill. It's a climate solutions resolution, and it's
Okay.
about a page long. And this is the one,
And
I
the
think,
intention is,
go ahead.
so her intention is to put it on as a resolution to get the community to adopt it.
Right,
And then adopt it in it would mean that we take into account these things when we plan buildings, when we look at vehicles, as we can. I
yes,
think that's what it would mean for Sally, isn't it?
yes.
And like when we think about solar panels and the things that we can do towards energy
Right.
production.
The line that's most critical, it says here, shall the undersigned voters of the town of Woodstock request the town to do its part to meet these demands by committing to efforts such as, it doesn't say that you need to, it just says you're
It's almost
committing
like
to
the state or energy thing.
Right,
You do
right,
it
exactly.
voluntarily.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
So I would say that, I'd hate to set a new policy, we put these on without a petition. I would say that this can come up on the floor at town meeting day, under business. Things like this have come up before.
Right, I know, I've
And-
actually done it.
I think the thing is, if it comes up on the floor, there's an awful lot of people that vote who don't come to the meetings, which is why the request is to put it on the ballot.
Well, then it would only be a voice vote, wouldn't
Yeah,
it?
it's still
So
gonna
if
be
they
a
were at
voice-
the meeting,
Yeah, it's still
it
gonna be,
would, they
it's
would,
not something that's gonna be done on Tuesday.
it won't be Australian ballot. It
This
would
is-
just be
Yeah,
discussed at the meeting and a voice vote anyway.
Right.
yeah.
And
It's like the gun sense
I'm
stuff last
reading
year.
this,
Yeah.
and I'm seeing a lot of things that this town already
Yeah.
does anyway.
I
We
mean-
have an energy
Yeah, it's
committee.
not
We
that it's an
have,
offensive
No,
resolution,
nothing
wrong
it's
with
just
it.
that
No, I think
it's
the
a precedent for.
issue
I know.
is the precedent for us. too.
Okay.
and I don't believe.
I
we
mean,
should
this
do that.
this was
No, I know.
told to me at 4 o'clock this afternoon.
That's all
Right, and
right.
but that's part of the problem, is that
Yes.
if people really care about their issues, they have to learn how the system works.
Well, I know, but in this
But
case,
she,
No, no, she was- no, I know, I understand.
Let me say something. She did go to Charlie, she got instructions from Charlie about what it was, and Charlie gave her the wrong information, and today told her the correct information.
Yes, no, I get that,
Cut off a lot of time.
Yes, There are many people to blame.
So that's why she's asking for special dispensation, because they've been fed the wrong information by another elected official of the town.
Yeah, well,
When did she ask initially?
Beginning of January,
Beginning of January? Okay.
yeah, well,
or even before that.
She asked in plenty of time to get signatures.
it's not a big deal. It's something can be brought up on the floor, and it's a resolution, and we've
And
done
if
it
she-
time and time again.
If she gets her 150 signatures in the next 2 days, she can still do it.
It goes on the ballot.
Goes on.
Vote.
It
But the
goes-
problem, okay, but what we're ignoring is we're saying go back to the rules. She was only told the rules today, because when she asked before, she was told the rules incorrectly. So we as a town have made a mistake. So the question is, can we make any special dispensation because we've made a mistake?
She still had time to get her signatures.
She does not have time to get the signatures because she made a plan to get the signatures on a particular day or a week, and that week has now been cut off.
So let me ask,
Yes.
so this appears, does this appear on the Australian ballot?
No,
No.
So in any
Yes.
event, yes?
no.
If this goes on the warning as a special article, no, I guess it could be a,
Voice
Yeah.
vote.
Yeah, it comes from the floor.
yeah, they're not asking for money, so it can come
Right,
from
comes
the floor.
from the
So yes,
Okay,
floor,
so-
floor vote, no matter what.
It's a floor vote no matter what. So there's no voting on it on Tuesday,
Correct.
regardless of how we handle whether it be officially in the warning or not. So I would support putting it on the warning partly because of the length of our mistake, number one, but also the length of this. It's hard to bring it from the floor because it's complicated and there's a lot to it. So it'd be nice to have it in the town report so that people could read it, if only to discuss it for the 10 minutes on the floor and vote for it on the floor.
Which piece you asking to be one or two?
She wants it all on there.
No, one and,
No. It's
you
all
have two
there.
different,
It's all there. D is the only thing that gets crossed out. 1D.
So it's a whole
Two
page of
articles.
information. If you're gonna talk about it, it'd be helpful for all the citizens to have this page that they can refer to and read for themselves before the conversation. And that's
One
fine, that's fine
resolution.
with me.
huh?
I mean, I wouldn't make a rule of it, like generally you're hearing it's something we'd like to avoid, but we did make a mistake and it would be tough to bring this from the floor because people are gonna, even to read it aloud is gonna take several minutes.
Did you have something to say?
But so do you need a motion? I mean, right,
This is up to you.
what do you wanna do?
If the board wants it on the warning, we can type it up and get it on the warning.
You can go one way or the other.
And I think before we put it on the warning, we should go through the wording and make it Woodstock specific so that we're not
Yes.
doing the things that we've already got.
Yes.
Why don't we go through the wording properly?
Well, there's just 2 blanks to fill in town of
Right.
Woodstock.
Yeah, you
she's talking
eliminate
about
the
things we've already
undersigned
done.
word.
That's fine.
So
Okay.
is this a resolution that is going to be presented in a lot of towns
Yes.
on
Yes.
town meeting day?
Yes. Yes.
All of this
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's why I say it's up, yeah.
So I'm not trying to punish her. We did make a mistake. This is long. It should appear in print somewhere. It's fine.
It goes with the agreement that Phil has already signed to be a member of the Mayor's 100 Club, which is saying that we're working towards this climate change thing. So it befits Woodstock, and it's what we're trying to do.
Well, we don't have to support the actual resolution to have it in there. We just need to decide whether it goes in the warning.
That's all, yeah. And like I said,
Okay.
I can go one way or the other.
Okay,
I
so,
see.
It's gonna get done no matter how we do it.
exactly. So why don't we just
When do you
include
need
it
to
in
make
there?
that decision? You don't need to make that tonight.
Well, we don't
They
sign
do.
the warning until,
Oh, you need
okay.
to make it
We need
tonight.
to make it tonight.
You don't have any, your next meeting after tonight will be to sign the warning.
Right. So just you know, but in the next 2 days, we're not doing this for anybody else.
Right.
Just to be clear.
Yeah, well,
Right. Okay.
The timelines for articles and all the town meeting timelines changed this year over any other year. The select board has more time to adopt a budget and get your warning together than you've ever had.
But
That's-
you're saying the deadlines to get the signatures in changed this year?
It's more restrictive.
Oh, okay.
There's a shorter timeline than in the past.
Well, that's important information too.
Well, that's what Jill was saying, that Ann McSude was told a later date by Charlie,
Right.
but based on the old rules.
Right. Okay. Okay. It's fine with me. I don't, you know, I'm not trying to punish anybody.
no,
No.
Okay, so we'll put it in the warning.
okay.
Thank you.
Thanks. Sorry, Sally, for being the
Okay, I
messenger.
know.
Did you
Thanks
have
for
a
sticking
question?
around.
Yeah, while you're on the town meeting day, is there some place that one can read about how all of this works? Or get information on how all of the different components of this town meeting day and the Australian voting work?
Yeah, like what is Australian voting?
Australian voting happens on the real town meeting day, which is March 5th. And we have our town meeting, open town meeting on the Saturday prior to that. And that's when you come and we go through the budget but if you're an elected official or want money for Pentangle or things that are on the library or things that are on special articles, you vote town meeting day on the 5th, Australian ballot,
Paper ballot.
paper
So
ballot.
is this described in writing anywhere for those of us who are new to the process?
So-
What I would recommend you do is get the town report when it's published, and it does have those 2 dates for the 2 different activities.
And the important thing to know is that the budget is approved by voice vote on that Saturday at the
Okay.
meeting, not by the paper ballot.
Okay.
So, you had a question?
I always, you talked about VLCT earlier, the Vermont League of Cities and Towns. Whenever I have questions about procedures or anything in the state, I go to their website, vlct.org. They're bound to have some document that talks about town meeting. So that, to me, is a good generic place to start if you want to understand how it works, government works in Vermont.
Okay, thank you.
What is the Saturday?
The second, I think?
The second.
March 2nd.
Okay, so March 2nd, 10 o'clock a.m., it's a Saturday morning, be here for part 1.
Okay.
And we'll school you up on part 2 when you get here.
As long as the sewer's still working.
You betcha.
And the roads are fine.
And if it
Downstairs
doesn't,
in the auditorium.
Okay.
Gosh, start at 10 a.m. They started early.
No, always 10.
I know
Do
it's
you want to do the
meeting.
lunch this year again?
Sure, that's nice.
Good, I'll contact them.
Okay. Any other citizens' comments? I guess that's where we are. Okay. So we have to approve the
Approve the
minutes.
minutes of December 8th.
And we have to finish our workshop on the budget.
Yeah,
So
okay.
I think maybe we ought to,
I didn't see any problem.
I
with the
read them
minutes.
over, I couldn't find any errors.
okay? You're talking about the
Just one
minutes,
person reading them.
okay?
Yeah, I didn't see
I
anything.
didn't see anything.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of December 18th as submitted.
You're all right, Jim?
Is Beth there?
Beth?
Beth?
Fish?
I sent an amendment to you. Is that included? Did you get that?
It is not.
Probably when we didn't have email.
When we didn't have email,
Yeah, we were out of email for a few days.
Great. Forever.
let me see if I can find it, Jill.
Okay, I'll do the next.
I bet it's in the old email.
I can say it.
Sure.
Oh, sure, oh, sure.
Okay, it's in the section B on the fire station proposal.
Oh, section B.
comment 3, I don't believe that that reflected what I really said. And I gave Beth words that I thought were close to what I did say, which expressed the concern that we were choosing to use the architect for feasibility study without looking at any other architects, and they might be the architect who was chosen, they were likely to be the architect chosen for the final job, which could mean a fee of $240,000, and we were making that decision without even meeting them.
Okay, if you could send that to Beth.
We should
So
table
she-
the approval
we-
till the next
Send
meeting.
that to Beth, and then we'll,
Okay?
Should I withdraw my motion and we'll vote to approve them at the next meeting?
Okay.
Do it pending.
Oh, yeah, do it pending that change.
yeah,
Pending
we'll do it
pending
pending that
change.
change. Yeah.
Okay, Jill?
Yeah, we'll do it a pending, approval pending that change. Okay,
Okay. Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
so I have a motion to accept these minutes pending the change. Do I hear a second?
Oh, second.
John, second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Jill says aye.
Jill says aye. Mary says aye.
Yes,
Sonia says aye.
Sonia says aye. John says aye. Butch says aye.
and if we need to reopen the discussion, we will.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, so now let's move on to the budget workshop.
So the formal meeting is adjourned.
Not really.
No, we're
No,
kind of
no,
just
we're just gonna keep
continuing.
going.
Yeah, we're
All
gonna
right.
keep going.
That's all right.
Move it up.
So, my budget director, are you ready?
I'm pretty ready, yes. Pretty ready. I was just looking at what had changed.
So I don't have anything to look at.
Okay, can I
I
share it with
emailed
you
it.
right now? Or you emailed it, Beth?
I emailed it to her, emailed it to all of you this afternoon.
Here, I'm gonna,
But on which email did you use?
Thank you.
that? I haven't had
Thank you
anything.
for coming.
by the Town of Woodstock one?
Yeah, Town of Woodstock email, Jill.
I just,
The new Gmail?
The new Gmail, yes.
I haven't set that up yet. Can you send me
okay, I just shared
Okay.
it, I just shared it with you just now.
Thank you very much. I think it's just arrived. Thanks.
Great,
It's gonna be a lot for you to absorb. then.
yes.
There's
So-
not really a lot.
Okay, I
Do you
have
have
it.
any comments?
Well, I'll want a little more time with it, but it looks like the changes we made were what we wanted to make. There were a couple of changes to people's salaries and things that
The
affected
listers and the town clerk.
Yep.
Fine.
Yeah.
Let's see. And then some things moved around between capital budgeting and, basically, the story was, the information I got from someone in the know about the accounting changes for leases moving to become capital items did not actually affect our budget. So we could continue on as normal with the way we had been handling our operating budget, which contains all the leases, and our capital budget, which does not. So that's very helpful because when the story changes, it kind of obscures what's been going on and you have to restate the past and everything. So that, I'm sorry that threw a wrench in our conversations and delayed things and created more work for Beth. I definitely take the blame for that. But I spoke with our auditors and they said things should stay as they are. So what she has sent reflects the things being in the right places now. And I'm starting to go through and just make sure that makes sense to me. I believe it does, so.
The health officer card, is that moved?
Did,
Yes, to ambulance.
Health officer?
let me just see, the other one was, The movement of the fire truck, so you'll see the fire truck moved to the operating budget for this year only, because now we're actually paying for it. So the past is shown in capital reserve, which is when we were saving for it and wasn't purchased yet. And then this year's is actually in the operating budget, so that's one of the, that was one of the big changes. And that's been changed. And so what is the upshot? Sorry, we're just getting this tonight, so it's taking a little bit to digest it.
So with all of those changes, Sonia, can we still, are we good looking at the total lines, like total expenditures?
Absolutely,
and
yep.
total revenue?
Yep, I'm just checking it to make sure things look correct, but they all do.
So all of the totals stayed the same.
The totals moved around a little bit, but it's not, it was moving things from one place to another, not increasing and decreasing amounts of money. So that obviously affects your operating budget versus your capital reserve and your spending and so forth, which then affects your tax rate.
But it's still the same percentage of increase on the tax rate.
Right, that's where I was getting to.
3.8%.
Let me go up to the top and calculate. So we're still looking at I get that it works out to just over a 3.8% tax increase.
Yeah, 3.89.
Yeah.
Time you run all your percent.
Right, so we kept the budget to 3.83 and then, right. So that was sort of what we were trying to do, is keep it below 4 if we could.
Right, and it's, what did you say, 3.88?
Yeah, 3.89.
I think by that it's 3.88 something.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
And we've managed to do that by only increasing expenditures by less than 1%, total expenditures. So,
What expenditures?
I looked at total, should I look at operating as well?
Yes. So we're
Okay.
yes, our total expenditures have gone up 0.65%. And the answer is last year basically, we spent a lot out of our capital reserve the last 2 years in order to keep that tax rate low. And we're not doing that this year. We're spending a reasonable amount, sort of back to the 3 years ago amount, which is sort of where we'd like it to be. So we're spending less out of our capital reserves and asking for a little bit more in taxes, but as we say, we're keeping it below a 4% increase. So I think that's pretty good. I mean, you don't want to raid your piggy bank all the time, or there'll be nothing left.
And I think the point I'd like to make though is that we're increasing our operating budget by 3.8%, and that's mostly salary increases, very, very little infrastructure.
Right, we could certainly be putting away more for larger projects or spending more on paving and so forth, but that obviously raises taxes by a lot more, so.
It's clear that that's not what our
Right.
We went
constituents
through
are
that
hoping
last year.
for.
I mean, we are proposing a
Town hall's got some money in it.
town hall has money in it.
What did we end up with on paving? Well, we said we'd put any extra that we had there.
Let's see, what page is that on?
Okay, and about on page, let's see,
I think it's on page
11?
11.
11. Page 11.
Town paving's up to 20,000 from 15, village is up to 55 from 40. So, another 20 grand and paving.
Which is, and then what did we take from capital reserve last year for paving? Was it 12?
12. And people
So
seem
we've got a
to,
little bit more.
a little bit more, and people seem to like the job we did this year. I mean, it was late, but we paved a lot.
Okay. So we've done what we can in order to hold us at 3.8%. That's the most we could rate.
Yeah.
Okay.
We need to approve this budget in order to go forward with the warning, is that correct?
You know, if you wanna, meet another time and go over it again, you can.
Well, I don't want to meet another time, but it just makes me a little nervous to get something, at 6 and then approve it right away. I just want to,
Well,
if we could even approve it by phone. I mean, we've all spent so much time with it, I'm not sure we need to, we can meet while Butch is under the knife. It only takes 3 of us.
well, that's correct. When is Jill back?
When are you back, Jill?
21st?
21st?
21st,
The
that's
21st.
next Monday.
Yeah.
And we need to sign the warning
By,
Well,
By
the
the-
first day to sign might be the 24th, and the last sign is February 4th.
oh, so we're easily making that.
no.
Yeah, think of it as maybe a week from tomorrow or so as your
Yeah,
deadline.
let's do that.
Be a good,
Just
that would be
to
a
be
good day. See, a week from tomorrow,
So what I will,
be the 23rd.
Promise me you won't.
but,
No, I'm not increasing it, I'm not increasing, it would only be,
so if you have any issues, email them. What I'm going to do is work from these numbers, and if there's a change, we'll adjust the numbers, because this all gets distilled into the warning as a voted article.
yeah, I don't think any of the numbers will
No, I don't
change, it
either,
looks
but
really
they
great.
can.
But yeah, I haven't spent
They
any.
can.
Want to check
Tear it
formulas
apart,
and-
they sure can.
Yeah, I mean, Beth, you did a Herculean job to get this here tonight, like,
Say that word again.
Herculean, like Hercules.
Oh,
Hercules,
okay.
on the computer, I'm sitting here,
No, I know, and I definitely threw a wrench in the works, so I apologize for that.
Do you hear what this conversation is, Jill?
Yes.
Okay. That we
I
would,
heard the word Herculean.
that we would meet a week from tomorrow to sign the warning, which would be
Oh, I didn't hear that date.
Wednesday, the
What's the date?
23rd.
Or Tuesday,
Today's, yeah,
yeah,
22nd.
that's fine.
Well, the warning has to include all the special articles, and they're due when?
They're due on Thursday. Can
Thursday.
you give me a week?
Oh, yeah, no,
Yeah.
of course.
Okay.
But we can approve the budget,
Mhm.
Right.
and
We
then
can
sign
approve
the
the
warning,
budget.
whatever.
We can sign the warning later, and,
You need a motion.
Okay.
I mean, you need people here to sign, to make a
Oh,
motion.
So it might as well happen at the same time, okay.
Yes.
Okay, so we can set another date later, but you don't need to
No, you should do
hobble
it.
here.
I won't.
You want to set the date today?
Yes.
Yeah, and it should be probably next Wednesday or Thursday.
Okay. I mean, is that enough time for the special
Well, let's go
articles?
tentative Wednesday, and if it's a problem, we'll push it till Thursday.
Okay.
You'll be fine, Beth. I know you will.
I'm not gonna do it.
I won't screw up. You won't talk to me again, so.
Yeah, leave her away from us.
In the morning, you'll
Sonia's
get, no, you'll be fine.
Okay, so the 23rd,
The 23rd, timing,
the morning,
January 23rd in the morning,
8 a.m.
8 a.m.
8 a.m.
7,
7? 7:30.
7:30?
7:30?
10:30,
7:30.
7:30.
7:30.
7:30, January 23rd.
23rd.
Okay. That's okay. I mean, that's when they open the doors at the school. That's as fast as I can get here.
I'm just
That's what
counting
I was
on you that
thinking,
you
have
won't
to get
raise that.
child.
No, I don't want to raise anything. I just want to make sure it's right. I don't want to approve something I haven't,
Yeah,
Great.
right,
yeah,
that's
spent a little
fine.
time with. That's all.
Right,
Okay.
right.
Okay, 7:30, January 23rd, Jill.
Okay, got it.
Thank you.
So should I make a motion to adjourn pending signing of the warrants?
Sure.
Okay, I make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Motion has been made, seconded to adjourn. Any further discussion?
Shortest meeting ever.
I know.
No, the trustees have that.
Okay, Sonia says aye.
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 Bill said aye. Everybody's-
Very
Jill says
good.
aye.
Jill
Thank you,
said
Jill.
aye.
Thank you.
All eyes are on.